रन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादा सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। So today's verse is Bhagavad Gita 2.20. देखो ये चैप्टर 2 में आकर के ये 20 नंबर में जाना है। हाँ हाँ I'll tell you after the class. Have some patience. After the class. Sure. We will give you. There are so many classes you can hear to them. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नयं भूत्वा भवितवा न भूया। न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नयं भूत्वा भवितवा न भूया। अजो नित्य शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे। न जायते अजो नित्य शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे। न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नयं भूत्वा भवितवा न भूया। अजो नित्य शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे। न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नयं भूत्वा भवितवा न भूया। अजो नित्य शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे। Anyone wants to recite? न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नयं भूत्वा भवितवा न भूया। अजो Anyone else would like to try? Want to try? Anyone else want to try? Okay, from Shruti, read the word by word translation and the translation.
Na meaning never, Jayate takes birth, Mriyate dies, Va either, Kadachit at any time, past, present or future, Na never, Aya this, Bhutva having come into being, Bhavita will come to be, Va or, Na not, Bhuya or is again coming to be, Ajar unborn, Nitya eternal, Saswata permanent, Ayam this, Purana the oldest, Na never, Hanyate is killed, Hanyamane being killed, Sharire the body.
Translation.
For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible?
कहाँ से पढ़ रही हो ये?
Sorry.
Purport.
Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no changes, like the body. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutastha. The body is subject to six kinds of transformations. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because he takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. Anything which has birth also has death, and because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. That is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc. of the soul. The soul does not at any time become old, as the body does. The so-called old man therefore feels himself to be in the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. The changes of the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree, nor anything material. The soul has no byproduct either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls, and owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the six changes of the body. In the Katha Upanishad, we also find a similar passage which reads,
न जायते म्रियते वा विपाश्चिन् न यं कुताश्चिन् न बभूव कश्चित् अजो नित्यः शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
the meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in the Bhagavad Gita. But here in this verse, there is one special word, vipashchit, which means learn or with knowledge. The soul is full of knowledge or full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart, where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is therefore daytime. As soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. This consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme Consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. There are two kinds of souls, namely the minute particle soul, Anu Atma, and the super soul, Vibhu Atma. This is also confirmed in the Katha Upanishad in this way.
अनोर अन्यान महतो महीयान आत्मस्य जंतो निहितो गुह्याम तम अक्रतु पश्यति वितशोको धातु प्रसादन महिमानम आत्मनः.
Both the super soul, Paramatma, and the atomic soul, Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body, within the same heart of the living being. And only one has become free from all material desires, as well as lamentations can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul. Also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters, and Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature, therefore he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master.
Okay, thank you for reading such a long purport. So, okay, so I think you're attending for the first time. Have you read previously Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, since my childhood I have read that Sahaj Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Sahaj Gita is a Bengali.
Acha, acha, Bengali, you read it.
Sahaj
Okay, okay. So just for like the newcomers, I'm just giving a small introduction to actually what happened. See, it was the battle of Kurukshetra. You must be knowing, right? The Pandavas were there, the 5 Pandavas, and there were 100 Kauravas. They had some fight and they were about to fight in the Kurukshetra war. So what happened is that at that time Arjuna, he asked Krishna to take his rath. You'll read, if you have read the I'll request you to please read the first chapter if possible. So so what happened, he tells to Arjuna to take his chariot in between the army of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So he takes. So as soon as Arjuna, he starts going inside them. He starts getting bewildered, like he starts shaking, his hands start shaking, his throat gets dried up, he starts perspirating, hair standing, thinking only by this that I have to kill my own kinsmen, I have to kill my own cousins, my own guru, my own grandfather, all of them are here. He completely forgot what those Kauravas had done to him. In Shastras it is written that if anyone, you can sit Mataji. In Shastras it is written that anyone anyone who is burning the home of any person or is taking away his wife, a person's wife, and doing something wrong with the wife, right, abducting the wife or something, that person is an aggressor and that person is eligible to get punishment. They can be killed. So that is the Shastrical injunction. So this Kauravas, what they did to Arjuna and his brothers, where you must be knowing it, that what all he did it, like they have been tried to be burnt. Like there was a home which was made completely out of the ignitable materials. Like as soon as little fire and the entire house would be burnt, right? Bhima was given poison so that he can die. And what to tell about Draupadi, whose tales we always hear, that they were trying to disrobe Draupadi. So it was such bad things happened to them. In spite of everything, Arjuna wanted to save them. Arjuna wanted to kill. So he gave 5 reasons for not killing the Kauravas or not fighting. So does anyone know the 5 reasons? I think it was discussed in the previous classes, and I want to ask all of you so that you can please help them. They are very new.
He was their own brothers and that he will get on the sinful reactions of killing.
Very nice. So I was not expecting from you the answer. So very nice. So second reason,
If the girl's future doesn't follow unwanted progeny.
destruction of family tradition. Okay, two reasons are over. You said
Simple reaction.
sinful reactions. He was afraid of sinful reactions. Second, second she said destruction of the family tradition. Third,
He might not get heaven after killing their own relatives. It is a personal sin.
uh, no, he was afraid of sinful reactions. He was fearful of sinful reactions. He was
thinking about that.
Yeah.
He might commit sin.
Okay, I'll tell you in the sequence. Okay, what are all this? First is he was very compassionate on his relatives. See, devotees are automatically very compassionate. They don't want to kill their own. They want to kill anyone. So he was very compassionate towards his friends and relatives. Okay, first is that compassionate. Second is that he was fearful of the sinful reactions what he will get. So what if he kills everybody? You can note it down, all the things. He was fearful of sinful reactions. Third, he was thinking that what will I get even if I get that kingdom? Like how, see, everyone wants to share their happiness with anyone. If you don't have anything to show anyone, then what will you? I mean to say that his friends and relatives are all dying. What will he do with having the kingdom? Right? We have something, when we have some property or something, we like to show everything to everybody. That was his psychology. He didn't wanted to have that anyways, because he thought it's worthless. If nobody is there, to what will I do with the kingdom? That was the third reason what he gave. Fourth reason was what she was telling is that unwanted progeny, that is destruction of the family tradition. See, all those wives who were there, who would be getting widow, who they will become widow, right? And when they become widow, their husbands won't be there. So what will they do? Right? There will be unwanted population, like they might go with any other person who is not their husband, because they would become widow at a very early age. Right? So they will give birth to the unwanted population. So what will happen? Very unwanted childs will be there. Are you able to get it? Yeah. And then finally in the second chapter, these four reasons what he gives, it's in the first chapter. In the second chapter only, he gives the fifth reason. That is, he becomes very indecisive. He was very indecisive of whether to fight or not to fight. These are the 5 reasons which Arjuna tells to Krishna. So this was the state. So now here, if you see from 11th verse to 30th verse in the second chapter, Krishna is explaining only one thing. Yeah, his soul. Why? What was the excuse that Arjuna gave? For which excuse is he addressing? The first one. That is compassion for his relatives. He was very compassionate. He didn't wanted to kill them. So that is why from 11th verse he starts telling that, see, you are not the body, we are the soul, and you are not killing anybody. And that's what he is telling, that the individual soul is sorry, I'm reading the 24th one. He is telling that the soul, there is neither birth nor death. See, all of us, we are afraid of one thing. Yes, we are afraid of death. Not only of our death. First of all, we don't believe that we will die itself. The reason behind this is that the soul knows that it is indestructible. So that is why we feel that, okay, we will never die. That's the eternal truth. Everybody has to die. But we don't think that, oh, I will die. I don't know if next moment I'll die. How many of us know that? How many of us has guarantee that next breath we are going to take? That's why there is a famous Vaishnava bhajan which tells that Nishwase nahi Vishwas. Nishwas means the breath. Vishwas means I don't have the conviction whether I will take the next breath or not. So we don't have that guarantee. So that death fearfulness for death is there. So Krishna is telling him that don't worry, See, we are all eternal souls and we are never born or we don't die. So here he tells some differences between the soul and the body. So let's see one by one what are the differences he tells. First thing what he tells is that soul never dies, but the body, what happens to the body? It dies. Second, so first of all, before we understand that what is soul, for the newcomers I am telling, soul is just 1 by, my hair is very thin, 1 by 10,000 part of the tip of the hair. Can you see my tip of the hair? And where is it situated? Inside our heart. The soul is there. Right? So let's see the difference and then I will tell you some logical examples of how do we understand that actually we are not the body, we are soul. So first thing is that soul never dies but the body dies. Soul is never born, but the body, we take the shelter of the body. The soul takes the shelter of the body. Do we tell my eye hand? No, we tell it is my hand. Right? Correct. So we have taken the shelter of this body. I know because my daughter, she is growing up and I see her activities. She sees her hand as if something ajuba, like she sees like this. She sees her leg. She explores her body. That means we are taking the shelter of the body and we are using our hands and legs and everything to do the daily activities. We have a spiritual form also. The soul has a spiritual form, but the thing is that we are in the uncontaminated state and that's why we haven't, I'll come to that little later, maybe after some classes you will come to know. So that is why we are not eligible to get the spiritual form. We have to take this body and we have to do the daily activities. I'll come to that a little later. Third thing is that the soul is eternal, but the body is eternal. Soul is eternal, so the body is perishable. Yes, that's the correct word. Perishable मतलब वो खत्म हो जाता है बॉडी, लेकिन सोल कभी खत्म नहीं होता है. Fourth thing is that we can kill the body, but can we kill the soul? No. We will see that in the 24th verse, wherein it is said that 24th verse, that whether with any weapon or anything also, it cannot be, it's not soluble or anything also. So soul cannot be killed. So that is the nature of the soul. So Krishna is telling these things over here in the verse. Now Prabhupada tells a very interesting thing over here in the purport. What does he tell? He tells the 6 changes that a body always has. What are the 6 changes that the Prabhupada is pointing it over here? It takes a birth in the womb of the mother. The soul, it goes and it first is placed in the womb of the mother. So how does the body is changing? So these are the 6 changes that is happening in the body. First, it goes as an embryo in the womb of the mother. Second is that it comes out and then again it remains for some times, right? Third is that it grows, like we grow every time, right? We grow from childhood to that of the, I mean to say that we come to the man, we become a man, youth, and then we become a man, and after we become man or woman, what do we do? We produce, right? Produces some effects, and then finally it gradually dwindles. When we become old age, we start dwindling, and at last vanishes into oblivion. That means the body is finished. So these are the 6 changes of the body. So 9 for us, all of us, we must be thinking, okay, you said that okay, we are not the body, we are the soul, but what is the evidence for this? What is the evidence for this? So now I will like to quote some scientific evidences. Okay, so there is someone called Dr. Samuel. He was doing lot of I mean to say that lot of research on this near death experience. Has anyone had this experience, near death experience? No? Had? Have you heard to anyone who has near death experience?
Reading books.
Wow, very nice. You have read in books. What did you read? How was their experience?
That was about a soldier. He was about a soldier and one mother and daughter also I have read in a book. So the soldier was in the battlefield and he got attacked by some bullets also. He could feel that something fatal like thing is coming. He felt it. That is why he was unconscious state of his body. So he can feel that fatal like creature is coming out from his side. And then this kind of illusionary only. After that they were taken to hospital and then he was laying there. And another more about a patient. The patient was having some surgery, heart surgery or something. He was not, the patient was not in sick. The patient was in coma.
Okay.
Yeah, the patient was in coma, but still his surgery was going on. But still he remembers that what color the doctor was wearing and what doctors were speaking among themselves. The whole conversations he knew. Though he was not in sense, in coma, operation was going on. His heart was kept aside. Like this kind of things I have read. But still he has heard all the conversations and after the surgery he has told all the conversations to them.
Very nice, yeah. So similar thing, I even I also have heard it. So about this near-death experience, which tells us that that how we are not this body, we are this soul. This doctor, he was a cardiac surgeon actually, and he does this open heart surgery and all those things. And you know that open heart surgery, the patient has to be given lot of means high anesthesia so that they cannot know anything. They should be unconscious. So there was one lady, and like how she was telling, she was able to know that others, everybody else, the who were there in actually she was telling that she was in coma or something, right? So here this lady, she was not in coma, but then she was completely unconscious, and the doctors tell that in that state nobody can actually remember that what is happening. So but then she said the entire operation, the for how it happened, what happened and everything. She could tell the details of all the operation, like what has happened. So the doctor was completely shocked that how can she tell. And then they asked, where were you? She was that I was sitting beside my body when you were doing all these things. So this is something very unnatural, it doesn't happen, but then it has happened. So there are evidences for that, and the details were something which can only be said by a camera, like a camera can only tell it. So it cannot be said by those that human being. Second, what I would like to tell you is that a reincarnation story. So this reincarnations, what we hear, it has happened, and this doctor Samuel Fuchun, whom I was talking about, he did lot of research on this reincarnation stories, lot of research in reincarnation. Actually, many people, they come up and they tell about this reincarnation story. So it is not my story, it's not even story, it's actually a fact which has happened. So many people, they come and they tell about their reincarnation things, like they start telling about their past, they start telling. So what this person was doing is that whoever was recording such of a, and see this previous life memories, one thing what he said in his research was that it would be there only until 10 years of the age. The children will only be able to remember when until they are 10 years old. After 10 years old, they can't, even less than that also, until 4 or 5 years, when they are very small toddlers, they will start remembering those things. So I'll tell you one such story which has actually happened, and many ISKCON devotees have also interviewed him and they have come to know his details. So there was one, you can also check in YouTube, and his name is Deep Kapadia. Have you heard his name? Deep Kapadia. You can see his interviews there in YouTube. Okay, not now, please. After the class is over. Okay, so his name is Deep Kapadia. So what he was doing is that he was born in Mumbai to a very mediocre family. The husband, wife, and the son was there, and the son, as soon as he started talking, he wanted to go to Rajasthan. He wanted to go to Rajasthan. He started telling a language which the parents don't understand. He started talking in Marwadi, and these people were Marathis. They both were Marathis. So he was not able to completely understand that what his child was telling. And then he went to the doctor. The doctor was also not able to know, and this case somehow came in front of this Dr. Samuel, who was actually doing research, and he would take these cases and he would not fake actually. He would take this and he would understand whether it is a genuine thing or not. So he has written a book in which all the genuine studies are there of these cases. So he takes, yeah, sorry, I forgot. I'll try to get it for you. Okay. So he takes he takes this case into consideration, and he understands the language of what the baby is trying to speak, and he tells all the details also. So in Rajasthan, in Ujjain, not Ujjain, sorry, there is a place in Rajasthan where his village was there. Not village, actually it was a city. I am not able to recollect the entire detail of that city, okay. But then it has a palace. It had a palace there in Rajasthan. So what he was telling is that he was the doorkeeper of that palace. He was a doorkeeper, and what happened is that he took his parents. He was just 3 years old at that time, and he took his parents, told them how to go there, how to book the tickets, and he took his parents there to the village. So once they reached the village, then they were not getting proper rickshaw, that where to go, how to go. He actually said the rickshaw wala. He knew that rickshaw wala, and he said that okay, you have to take to the. He was the one who was guiding. Can you believe it? He is just 3 years old, and he is taking his entire parents, the doctors, and everybody to that place where he was actually there in this previous birth. He took there, and then his son opened the gate, and then his son was there standing, and he said that I am your father, and the son was not at all able to believe it. Oh my God, no, you can, how can, like, he was not able to believe it at all. So then what happened? What he did is that he said that I will only believe it if you show that where my father keeps the gun. If you can show it, then only I will believe it. So you don't believe it. He went all the way to the palace. He went to that room. There was some tijori, like the robe, like a wardrobe where that person would keep his gun. He went there. That gun was a very, very old gun, like the Britishers' time gun at the time. So he had kept that gun over there. So he goes all the way. He finds the gun. He could open the tijori. He knows where the keys were there and everything, and he opens that. This is something very, very, this details and all nobody can know, not 3 years old guy. And that's how that son also, he understood that he is my father, and that's how they understood. So he was being killed. It was not a natural death. He was being killed by his own friend, because there was some gold or some money which was there in the palace, and he wanted to take that. He wanted to steal that. So what they did is that that person, he killed his own friend, right? So this particular fact is there in one of his books. Is completely researched. So we see this reincarnation stories, and then we see this near death experience, which completely tells us that how we are not this body, but we are the soul. So now one thing we understood here, that okay, we are not the body, we are the soul. So how do we act on that platform? How do we start acting on that platform, that we are not the body, we are the soul? How do we act? Okay, we have this knowledge, we got this knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, but we should be applying this knowledge somewhere, right? It should be of some worth to us, correct? No? How do we apply that? Okay, so we will see today from, I would like to narrate you the story of a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna who sacrificed his life so that all of us can get the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now Srimad Bhagavatam is a very wonderful book. So this book tells about the pastimes of the devotees of the Lord of Krishna and his devotees, and how they are how their unalloyed devotion. It talks about the pure devotion of this of the devotees of Lord Krishna. So here is the story of the Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit was the grandson. So you know about the Maharaj Parikshit? Hey, I am very impressed. How do you know so much?
This class also.
Oh, whose class?
I told you no, my
Ah, your aunt's friend. Okay, she takes the classes. Okay, fine. So here was Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit was the grandson of Yudhishthir Maharaj, and Arjuna. Yudhishthir, he was the only grandson at that time of the Arjuna. So what happened? He was there in the womb of Uttara. Uttara was the mother of Parikshit Maharaj. So he was there in the womb of Uttara, and at that time, Ashwathama was about to kill Parikshit Maharaj. He wanted to kill the entire. So he had this Brahmastra. Okay, so this Brahmastra is something which would act on the mantra. It would act like we have this arrow and the bow and the arrow. So we will be putting the bow and the arrow, and the target, it will hit the target like that, right? But then this Brahmastra was something like that. It acts on the mantra. So the mantra is given, and then it detects that who is the target. So no matter what, wherever the person is, it will go and detect the person and will kill the person. So Ashwathama had such a weapon which cannot be retaliated. Cannot be retaliated by anyone else. Okay, so and it was very, very powerful. So it had to kill all the Pandavas, and it also had to kill the child of Uttara, that is Parikshit Maharaj. So what happened is that Parikshit Maharaj was there, and the nuclear weapon was actually neutralized once already by Arjuna. But after being neutralized, now it had come to kill the Parikshit Maharaj, who was in the womb of Uttara. So when it came, at that time Uttara ran helplessly to Krishna so that she can be saved. So at that time Krishna saved Uttara and her womb, wherein Parikshit Maharaj was there, by using a club. Like he went inside the womb and then he neutralized the entire weapon, and that's how the Parikshit Maharaj was saved. Okay, so this is the background story of Parikshit Maharaj. So now Parikshit Maharaj becomes big and he is handling the entire kingdom. So one day what happened, as you know that the king, they go for this in the forest to do some shikar and all, like they will be going for killing the animals and all, right? So he goes there, and when he goes there, there was a sage, okay, and his hermitage was there, and that is a Saumika Rishi. His hermitage was there, and he was in complete meditation. And Parikshit Maharaj was very, very thirsty actually, and somehow he found this hermitage of Saumika Rishi, and he wanted some water. He goes, greets the Rishi, he starts speaking to the Rishi, but Saumika Rishi did not answer at all, because he was in deep meditation. He did not at all answer. So at that time Parikshit Maharaj, he was a little provoked. He got provoked, and what he did, he brought a dead snake, not a living snake, and he put in the neck of the Saumika Rishi. Okay, so after putting it, and then Parikshit Maharaj goes back. Okay, he did that because he was thinking that I am in such thirst, and this person is not at all responding to me. He is as cold as that of the snake, his heart, that he is not responding to me. Okay, the snake's body is very cold. It's very cold hearted, not very warm hearted, it's very cold hearted. So he's not at all listening to me. So that's why he had put this snake on that. So what happens is that this Rishi, he has a son also, and his name was Shringi. They were Brahmanas. Okay. So this Shringi, he comes to know that his father was that Parikshit Maharaj did all these things. And Shringi immediately he cursed Parikshit Maharaj that he will die out of a snake bite by, the snake's name was Takshak. Okay, he will come, Takshak only, right? You know? Takshak, he will come and he will bite Parikshit Maharaj and he will die in 7 days. So Prabhupada tells in his purport in Srimad Bhagavatam about it that he didn't do such a great, though he did a mistake, but he didn't do such a great mistake that someone has to give a death sentence. See, we do some mistake and we have different levels of the what we can tell that we have some punishment. Yes, we have punishment for a apt mistake. For that there should be apt punishment, not that you give someone a death sentence, right? It was something such a big punishment that he can give, and that too he was a very young boy, he was a very child actually. Shringi was a child, he was not a very big, but since he was a Brahmana, his curse was had to come true. So then he was being cursed that within 7 days he will die, right? So out of all of us, first of all, we don't know when we will die, and even if we get to know that we will die, the first thing what we will do is that we have to think that okay, I have 7 days, let me start securing my property, let me see that what else is there, what all I like to eat, let me live, let me enjoy life like anything. I have only 7 days, what all movies are there, let me go, what all hill station I want to go, oh I had plans to go to Australia, so many other places, right? So let me do all this sense gratification. Sense gratification means like let me enjoy my life to fullest. And the youths, they always tell these things, right? Life is like an ice cream, enjoy it before it melts, right? This is what they tell, and they start doing all those activities. But what did Parikshit Maharaj do? So let's see the lessons that we can learn from his life, that how he handles reversal in his life. We all have reversals in our life, isn't it? Anybody will tell that my life is super happy, I have no problems in my life. Yeah, it may be, but then it is not the end of your life. We have so many things to come. We have just started our life, maybe we are at the age of 30. People have such big problems when they get, and material world is, believe me, everything comes with a cost. Everything comes with a cost. We think that we are very, very happy now. For example, you go to the beach and we think that you are very happy, I enjoyed in beach so much, I did so much of like I enjoyed in beach so much, but then after you come back, your whole clothes will be with the sand. First thing, your whole room will be fully messy. You have to wash all those clothes, dry all the clothes, and then you feel super tired, right? Now you go to a mall. You think that okay, we'll go to the mall and we will do a lot of shopping. You shop, you just halfway, and then you say that, "Arey yaar, mera pair dukh raha hai. Can I sit in some place? Can I go near and sit?" I don't know how many of you have had this experience. For me, I really have this. I can't walk for a long. Even though now I have a baby and it's so difficult. My hand also starts paining. Carrying her for a long time. She doesn't want to sit in the stroller for a very long time. So everything in this material world, I'm just telling you small things. But then we know that for every happiness in this material world, there is a joint distress also. Whatever it happens, there is some duality, because this material world is having duality. That is the nature of this material world. Everything, there is wherever, and see now, for example, we have invented car to go from one place to another so that we can go very soon, right? But then in that process, what is happening? Lot of pollution is happening, and who is suffering? The planet Earth is suffering, also we are suffering. So do you understand this point, that how this happiness, there is something happiness is got in this material world with an expense to pay for it. Like paying, what is the pain? We ourselves get so much of pain, right? So here Parikshit Maharaj did not do like what all of us do. He did not start thinking how can I enjoy. Okay, so what he did is that he had this knowledge that we are not this body, we are the soul. But then that's not the end of the knowledge. What he did is that he went a little way forward. He thought that okay, I am not this body, I am a soul, but I have a duty. And what is my duty that I have got in this human birth? I am unlike the dogs, cats and other animals. So let me use this human birth in self-realization. Let me understand that who am I, what is my connection with the Lord, and why am I here, why I was not born as a cat and dog. I was born as a human being and I have some duty to be performed, right? So that Parikshit Maharaj already knew. He was not basic like us, he was little advanced. Right? So he immediately took the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and that is Sukadev Goswami, and he asked from him that few questions. He had asked from few questions. So the lessons that there are actually so many lessons that you can learn from. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a wonderful book, and now there is offer going on. There is some discount in Srimad Bhagavatam. If you want, you can buy also Srimad Bhagavatam. It's available in discounted rates, and honestly, there is so much in each and every shloka. You will have something to learn, and devotees, they tell that each and every word of Srimad Bhagavatam, they can give you liberation, they can give you so much of knowledge. So that knowledge is that book, and definitely you will enjoy that book. Why? Because it is not only about philosophy, it has lot of stories also, like it is pastimes of the Lord, which gives you which helps you in understanding that who you are, who the Lord is, and building that connection and all those things. So before that, you can read Bhagavad Gita for a better understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. So first thing is that he knew that he was not the body, he was the soul, and instead of foolishly acting like I will do all this sense gratification, he took the shelter of the bona fide spiritual master. Now the third thing what we can learn from him is that he could have cursed back. He could have cursed back Shringi, right? He was a great devotee of the Lord. He could have cursed back, but you know what he did? He took this entire situation as a mercy of the Lord. As a mercy of the Lord. He thought that if I was saved by Krishna's will when I was in the womb of my mother from such a powerful weapon which no one can retaliate, even his, the weapon, nuclear weapon, it does not give us time, that it will give time for us to fight with that weapon and then it will do destruction. That much time was not there. By the time the Pandavas would have brought their swords and they would have started acting, the nuclear weapon would have acted. It was only a matter of few seconds. Only the Supreme Lord, some higher power, can only retaliate that weapon, and that was done by Krishna. So he thought, if I was saved by his will, wherein I was completely helpless, the child inside the womb, what help he can do, is completely helpless. If that time I was saved by Krishna, and now he wants me to be killed by some curse, then why not I take it as his arrangement? So he took it as a perfect arrangement of the Krishna. He did not curse back Shringi, though he had the power, because he was a Raja Rishi. Raja Rishi means he was a devotee of the Lord. Now devotees of the Lord also have this power to curse someone, but they do not curse back. Why? Because they take everything as an arrangement of the Lord. And when this happened, he was actually lamenting. When he came back to his, when he came back from the forest to his kingdom, he was completely lamenting. He was thinking that, why did I do? Now because of my mistake, my entire family has to suffer. Because when a devotee, he does something, not devotee, I am telling in general, when a person, he does something wrong, his entire family has to suffer. And when he does something good, like he does some devotional service, his entire family also takes the credit. So now since he did a mistake, his entire family will suffer for that. So he started praying that I did a mistake, so let not my family suffer, let me alone suffer my sins. And then when he came to know that he was cursed, So he immediately he thought, okay, good that what mistake I have done, for that I am getting the apt punishment. Now how many of us have this mindset? Whenever someone tells us, Are you did this wrong, you are only responsible for everything, and we get this that complaints from others, how do we feel at that time?
Agitated.
Huh?
We get agitated.
We get agitated and
And we feel like we are supposed to blame them back.
blame them back and
Angry.
हाँ एंग्री वी फील दैट अरे यार मुझ में ही उसको सारी गलती नज़र आती है क्या? What do you feel that I am only the person, like only I have fault? What do you think? You don't have any fault, right? So that's what we start doing it. But then Maharaj Parikshit did not do all of that. Did not do all of that. And you know one thing, I was telling in my last class also, most of the problems we can solve just by doing this one thing, not by retaliating with them, because it's not worth of our time. It's not worth of our time. We have something higher to do. So there is one statement which I really like. It is that whenever such things happen, I think that okay, for 5 minutes maybe someone is telling me anything, but will that particular words, whatever that person is telling me, will I remember after 5 years also? How many of us remember what happened, which fight we did with our friend in kindergarten? We don't even remember that whose hairs we pulled, right? How did we beat anyone, or what did we do? We don't even remember. So is it worth so much of our energy on that thing? No. So we can save so much of our energy by doing that thing. And Parikshit Maharaj did not at all had any time. He just had 7 days. He thought, why to waste on time in retaliating? Let me prepare myself for something higher, and let me prepare myself for my next journey. See, first of all, we don't believe that we are not this body, we are the soul. If we believe also, we do not do this thing that okay, I am going to be again born. I don't know human being also or not. I may be born as a cat, dog, I don't know, or maybe I don't know. I am now born in a in a family in which everything is being taken care. My financial needs are being taken care. Everything is taken care. But I don't know if next birth I will take in such a family wherein my family needs also will be taken care. I may be born in a family wherein they are roadside robbers also, right? I don't know. All depends on my choice. So Parikshit Maharaj did the choice of not retaliating. We have our choice of understanding the spirituality, understanding the higher thing, that who am I, and understanding that what is my relationship with the Lord, establishing that relationship, taking that way, or taking the other way, that is live the same way how we have been living earlier, like the previous births also. We all had this thing, the cycle of this birth and death. We have 84 lakh species, right? And we have done all of it. I am telling you, we were once upon a time, we were wives of someone, we were mother of someone, we were friends of someone. We all had all this relationship in when we were animals also. And now also, if we want to drag the same thing, it's not an intelligent. We have to use our intelligence to understand that how we use this human life as, right? And so did Parikshit Maharaj do. And he did not blame Krishna for that. He did not tell Krishna that why did I am such a devotee of yours, I am doing everyday puja, I am doing chanting to you, I am doing so many things, I am eating prasad, but still it had to happen in my life. He did not blame. What did he do? He took it as an opportunity. This is what we learn from the devotees' lives. Whenever there is reversal, we see that what Krishna wants to teach us. If a thing is happening again and again in your life, that means Krishna wants to teach you some lesson. So understand from these things. If a problem is happening again and again and again, Krishna wants to teach you some lesson. So take that lesson, but don't blame Krishna for everything. So what Parikshit Maharaj did? Parikshit Maharaj did not blame Krishna. Fourth lesson, what we see that, see, Kali Yuga is automatically, you are getting late. What do you want? Water? Here. So the see, Kali Yuga is such designed in such a way that for small things we get provoked very easily. For example, Parikshit Maharaj, he was not able to, though he is such a, he is such an exalted devotee, he is in such an exalted position, but he could not tolerate the thirst. So little provocation happens and we all get very agitated. So this is the nature of Kali Yuga. So think how we are staying. Little, any person, my mother tells me, why did you put this thing here from there? And we start getting, why mother, always you are nagging behind me, you don't find anyone else, right? That is the answer. Maybe more, little, small agitation and we get completely provoked. Now here Parikshit Maharaj, it was not a small thing for him, he was about to die. And how did he react to the situation? He took the shelter of the Lord. So it is said that the greatness of a person is estimated how he reacts to the provoking situation. And here we see Parikshit Maharaj was not provoked, instead he took the privilege of the situation. Right? So when we be in this situation, when we are in such a situation, if such agitating situation it comes, even though we cannot become like Parikshit Maharaj, but at least we can remember Parikshit Maharaj after that thing is happening. Right? After this thing is happening, at least we can remember that. Remember this pastimes, hear this pastimes again and again, so that we get the strength that when that actual situation is happening, at least we have the strength to use our intelligence and face the problem in a correct way. Right? So he asked two questions. Not two questions, he asked many questions, but I will tell you only the two questions. He said that, tell me what is the responsibility of a dying man, what he should do, and tell the responsibility, tell the duty of people in general what they should do. So Prabhupada writes in the purport for that, Prabhupada writes that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells in the last chapter, he tells Sarva Dharma Paritranaya Mam Eka Sharanam Vraja. So he tells that leave all kinds of whatever the duties, just surrender unto Krishna. So finally this is the essence, that one should surrender unto the Lord, serve the Lord. Second question what he asked is that what one should hear, what one should chant, for whom should he remember and whom should he worship. Right? So these are the things he asked. Why he asked these things, because in Kali Yuga only we can do all these things. In other yugas, we had this Ashwamedha Yajna, they used to do yajnas, so many kinds of yajnas. They used to do some Ashtanga yoga, like standing in one leg for a very long time. Now in this age, can we do? How many of us can stand in one leg? Tadasana, how many of you can do? Tadasana, okay, Tadasana, there is one more asana in which the tree posture, one leg and up. For how long? With closed, with open eyes, closed eyes, which I have trouble is in open eyes. With open eyes to focus, but then how much time can you do?
Ma'am, in morning in the PT, we are in first day, haven't started yet. We are being practicing that for 1 minute, ma'am. They tell us.
1 minute. They would do for 10,000 years. Hiranyakashipu, he did for 10,000 years. And all those, that, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ants, and not even that, they are just some ooey जो बोलते हैं ना, ooey They did ant hill. You have to see that photo here. Half of his body was skeleton, and half of his body is there, which is we can't even see that he's a demon, and he was in such a state. 10,000 years they used to do, and that time the Brahma will come. Okay, fine. This person is calling me so much. Let me go and show him. That was the situation of Brahma. You know. How much patience do we have to do all these things? To know.
10,000 years means name of that
Hiranyakashipu, it happened. Hiranyakashipu did for 10,000 years. Actually, they used to do self-realization was very, very difficult. If you see in the previous ages, difficult, but at that time those people were very austere also. In Kali Yuga, we don't have. You see, we are mandbuddhi, like we do not have that much of knowledge. We can't remember things. We as I was telling you, slight problem in our life, we get easily provoked. We become very angry. We become very agitated. There is so much of disloyalty. We don't get pure things also over this period. So it's very difficult to do. So the only thing which we can do in this age is to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. We can chant the holy names. That's what Parishit Maharaj asked, and in the end of the Bhagavatam, this was what is being said, to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna, he tells that in this age of the Kali, there is no other way than to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we slowly get purified. We understand that who we are. We are not this body, we are the soul. What is our relationship with our Lord? We understand, we establish that relationship, and finally we start acting on that relationship. So when Parikshit Maharaj, he heard this for the 7 days, and finally when he was going back home, back to Godhead, was completely fearless. The Takshat snake, it did come, and it did burn the body of the Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj went back to Godhead. So we have to, so that was such a glorious death, isn't it? Glorious death. So if you like this story, then you should start acting, reflecting on yourself, introspect yourself, that where you are, who you are, and how would you like to transform yourself further, to take how much seriousness you should be, how much serious you should be in your spiritual life, and act in that way, so that you can come to this platform of that wherein we are realizing that fact that we are not this body, we are the soul. Okay, so with this I will come to the end, but before I come to the end, few things I would like to tell, summarize 3 things I would like to tell, which the reflections of this class. We are not this body, we are soul, and we must strive for self-realization. We must strive for the self-realization. So that's the ultimate duty of our life. Second thing, what? So I was telling you this thing, right? Like live life like an ice cream, no? Correct, no? You should enjoy. But I would tell you that please live like a candle. Until it lives, it gives happiness to everybody, it gives some brightness to everybody. Live a life of meaning, not a life of not having any meaning to that life. Living like how the cats, dogs and others, everybody else lives, right? So live a life of meaning, live like a candle, right? Third is that do devotional service like hearing, chanting and remembering the Lord. Hear to the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, any spiritual lectures. There are so many ISKCON Desire Tree, you can go, there are so many lectures. Or hear to Srila Prabhupada lectures. Prabhupada is our founder, Acharya of ISKCON. Hear to him some lectures. Chant the holy names with utmost faith. Even though you do not have that faith, you do not have any taste for chanting, but still chant. Because when we chant, gradually we keep chanting, because chanting gives motivation to do more chanting, right? So keep chanting and remember the Lord by hearing to these pastimes. Okay, so with this I come to an end. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any questions? No questions? So I will ask questions. Please tell your learning from today's class. Everybody has to tell one learning, at least 2 learnings. ओके, श्रुति से स्टार्ट करते हैं.